Let's make sure the 1.1 billion girls that will go forward with our young generation change the fate of the world. Hi, my name is Fatima Khalil. I'm from Anthropology department. This year, my main goal is to become a part of Student Senate.
Natasha used to say that life is good. And she also used to say that life is simple, but we insist on complicating it.
Was this confident woman who knew what she wants, but I was also a little bit afraid to talk to her because she looked a little bit serious. But then during our rehearsal, the graduation, she was this totally different person, so friendly, social. She was talking to me.
And she really liked Latino music, and she was always talking with us girls about, I want to live in Colombia, yeah, because I like the beach and the sun and this music, because she was a happy and free spirit.
I wasn't so close to her at the beginning when we were in school, but one day I was waiting for my car to come and pick me up. So that's she, and so I was sitting and she came to me and we started a very friendly conversation. Then we noticed that we both are talking about life.
Well, I met Fatima on the day of her graduation. I had arrived in late May of 2019 as the new president of AUCA. And in that first week we had a board meeting and we had graduation on Saturday. And I do actually distinctly remember Fatima of the 300 plus graduates that I handed diplomas to, and a number of them hugged and etc. I remember she had a real energy about her. She had a presence about her. So she bounded up the stage, and you know, I'm a pretty physical and warm person, and clearly she is too. And so gave her the diploma, we hugged warmly, and there was a beautiful picture taken of the two of us together that is something that I will always treasure.
The thing was, she had led Diversity Week 1 year before that, and when she stepped into the room and she started asking everybody questions and tried it so hard to make like everybody stay on point with the practices, because she cared so much about what she wanted to represent, and that was Afghanistan, and how that should have looked for everybody else during the Diversity Week when there's so many cultures that are almost competing with each other. So she had always, you know, that really high competitive spirit that, you know, nobody could take anything away from that, and that's why she had such an inspiring, you know, personality.
I heard the story of how she got the job. I gather there was sort of this discussion between her and the director of the NGO she worked for, where the NGO director basically tried to talk her out of it, and she said, no, this is the job that I want, and that was great. That was nice. I was very glad to see that she was working in human rights, and of course I knew that it could be a dangerous kind of occupation, profession, but I never thought what would happen, that what happened could happen to her.
Before, I think a week ago, we had an email correspondence with her because even though she graduated, we still kept in touch. She used to share a lot about what is she doing now, and then that year Human Rights Program have been going through the accreditation process, so she was also involved in that process.
My relationship with Natasha from early on was really special. From the day she was born and until the last time I saw her in January of 2020. A very early memory of mine with Natasha was that I always wanted her to wear those beautiful little girl frock kind of dresses, and but of course we couldn't afford those. And I remember that one day I just used my mom's sewing machine and used a curtain material fabric to make a frock kind of dress for her when she was 1 year old.
Fatima, also known as Natasha, was born in Pakistan to a family of refugees who had fled an earlier chapter of the 40-year stretch of violence in Afghanistan, the sixth child of two former teachers. Her father started a grocery store in Quetta, Pakistan, earning barely enough to get by. Though the family was dislodged several times, Fatima excelled in school. She started her education at a refugee school in Pakistan, founded by a Saudi charity. After the family returned to Afghanistan, she graduated high school in Kabul at a competitive Turkish international school, which she had attended on a scholarship. By the time she graduated from the American University of Central Asia with a double major in Anthropology and Human Rights Studies, she was fluent in Arabic, Urdu, English, Russian, the Afghan languages Pashto and Dari, and Turkish being her most favorite language. After graduating last year, Fatima was considering going directly for a master's program. However, her sister Lima encouraged her to gain some work experience first. After returning to Afghanistan, Fatima started working at Afghanistan Independent Human Rights Commission. But she couldn't even complete a year at the Afghanistan Independent Human Rights Commission.
Wow, I remember. I was a Saturday afternoon in my apartment, my wife and my apartment here in Bishkek, and I got the news that Natasha had been murdered. And, well, as I said, that my visit to Kabul in early February, meeting with our graduates, was my best day. My worst day by far was that day, June 27th, 2020. It hit me hard, hit all the AUCA community hard, and of course it especially hit the AUCA Afghan community very, very hard. And I think it hit, the community that Natasha is kind of representative of in Afghanistan very, very hard. So it was a bad day, just a really bad, sad day.
Home, it was afternoon. I prepared something to eat. I was about to start eating, and then my phone kept ringing, and then I saw I had some missed calls from Hasiba. And when I opened the WhatsApp, I saw this screenshot of Facebook. When I read it first, I was so shocked, I couldn't believe it. And then Arya was literally telling me that no, she's not with us anymore.
And I was going to have a walk. It was a rainy day, and I just got a message, a screenshot of what Umaid posted in his Facebook about Natasha.
Her last text to me was, "I love you."
There's not even a single night goes by without thinking of her. Always thinking of what happened that day. Did you really feel any pain while breathing her last breath? Was she scared of the bomb blast? She was always scared of loud noises too.
On June 27, 2020, Fatima was murdered brutally by a car bomb in Kabul while going to the office. Just like many other youth in Afghanistan, she wasn't alive long enough to make all of her dreams come true. This is the reality of most Afghan youth today. This is the story of Fatima Khalil, a life never to be forgotten.
And the only thing that came in my mind, I was like, no, not one more person. Like, not her. Please, not her. Anyone else. Literally, I wished anyone else, but not her. We were talking about going to Jabalvin's concert together one day before that. She literally told me this, if we were going to Jabalvin concerts, you know, and I'm dreaming this and I feel it's coming true. And she was applying for her master's. She was doing these all things, you know. She was getting out of that country. And I was thinking about this all and I was like, no. Till the day that Lema called me. That day I started crying. I was like, okay.
But I got a text message from Zarlash, Haidari, saying that Fatima was gone. And I wrote back and I said, our Fatima? And I got a message back, yes. That's how I found out about it. I was just so shocked and horrified. By the bombing. So I was really delighted to see people taking an interest in memorializing her and remembering her in some way or another. We need to help Afghanistan. Afghanistan has got some really, really challenging problems and issues. And I don't know why exactly I feel some kind of connection to Afghanistan. I've never been there. I've been to Iran, I've been to India, but I haven't been to Afghanistan. And
so I wrote her back on the Facebook Messenger, said, dear, that should be a joke. There is some cruel joke going on in the social network. You have to say that it's not true. Well, she never replied to that message.
It's a tough one. We wake up every day. And we face every single day as a battle. A new war, a war within ourselves, in the family, where we question everything. Specifically, I blame myself. I told her to come back to Afghanistan and work here. And every family member has their own reasoning and their own blames and self-guilt. We are at war with Afghanistan, with the whole situation, with our belief system and everything. And most days I just wonder whether this was worth it. Whether there is any cause in this world that is worth a life like Natasha for.
I saw her. I went to Kabul in February of 2020, shortly before the pandemic broke out, and I met with 20 of our graduates, 20 of our Afghan graduates for a meeting, and you know, and Fatima was one of them, Natasha, and it was the most wonderful meeting, I think, of my first year, and so it was really special for me to meet them and to meet Fatima, Natasha, there with that group, and it gave me a much better context for understanding the tremendous challenges and the really hard decision, I think, that it is for our Afghan graduates who, for the most part, want to go back to Afghanistan and make a contribution to their country. That's a really powerful message that comes through this. It's a little bit of ambivalence. Ambivalence may not be quite the word, but it's just a kind of a conflict. You want to go back, but it's so dangerous, and especially for women who want to work and contribute and have kind of a profile.
I mean, everything I learned about Fatima, and I must confess, I learned more about her after the tragic, loss of her life. It just became very clear that she embodied everything that we have been talking, that I have learned from the students of Afghanistan. So in a way, this is very real. So I think it was one way to kind of honor her, to share that. Well, you may have left us, but Fatima, but there are many of your brothers and sisters who are thinking of doing what you have done, and they will embrace this journey.
But it was a couple of days after that the New York Times published a fantastic story on Natasha's murder, but about her, they really captured the context of her personality and who she is, the energy that she had, but she was a really serious person, but also just loved to have fun and dance and hang out with friends, and but also really captured the big context of what it is, and gets back to the earlier question you talked about of how difficult it is for people like yourselves and Natasha, to go back and do what they would love to do to help the development of Afghanistan.
So overall, I have a lot of students taking my classes, and I've noticed one pattern is that despite these horrible things that are happening in Afghanistan, despite the fact that it is not a safe place, that the human rights are being constantly violated, every single student in AUCA from Afghanistan, deep in their heart, they have a hope that one day Afghanistan will be transformed into a more safer place, where the human rights will be protected, where the human dignity will be protected, and overall where the democracy and rule of law will be established.
I think they bring a lot to the table. I think perhaps in some cases they have much more rich experience about these issues, lived experience. And I think that makes the classes and the teaching learning environment extremely enriching. So I have nothing but very good thing to say about Afghan students, and I'm really glad that we as a university actually are, I think the university in higher education institution with the highest proportion of Afghan students in its international student body. And I think that makes us a strong university.
Joy. Our Afghan students are our highest performing students. Overall highest GPA by considerably, the most active participants in civic engagement. I mean, those that really represent the ideal of AUCA. And this is what Natasha was, especially. I mean, completely representing everything that AUCA is striving for. And as far as the U.S. government and the State Department funding, these are some, in my view, some of the best spent dollars of U.S. taxpayers. Yes, there's no question that Natasha's death was a target killing. And I don't think we have to, imagine too hard who was responsible for it. These people, Natasha represents everything that these people despise. Women's rights, especially. Women being able to live a full life, a more open life, and not so constrained by what the Taliban sees as the appropriate place for women in Afghan society.
we feel so proud of Natasha in this young age where she was able to raise her voice, where she was able to put her views as a young Afghan woman to better humanity. But at the same time, her departure is so brutal that whenever we just take a break to breathe, it feels like we will be betraying Natasha by not pursuing her dreams. Every family member is trying a desperate kind of measure to still keep hold of her. My sister Asya and me in Kabul, we just, with the help of some fundraising by her friends and some colleagues, raised some funding for a school called Fatima Khalil that is run by enabled children. We tried to be there and volunteer as much as we could because Natasha loved children in that school and wanted to do something for them. So for Asya being there, she feels that she's fulfilling Natasha's duties, or maybe she somehow is still keeping in touch with Natasha. My experience with being in touch with young Afghan of her own age is that when I look at them, when I see them happy, I just imagine Natasha being there among them. I feel this strong, immense love for all her fellow friends and her generation. I just feel that with her death, they have been really shaken badly, and their hopes for a better future and a better life should be restored. I want girls like Natasha to live their life the way Natasha was living hers, with positivity, with love, with an attitude and entitlement, because she was woman and because she was human being.
The first initiative actually came from our anthropology department, that are human rights concentration folks, in which Natasha was studying, that we do something, and we are going to do something, and we're going to do something special about this young woman, the significance of the life she lived and the significance of her killing. It goes far beyond AUCA, but the idea, of course, of the Fatima Khalil Memorial Scholarship Fund is to provide opportunities for those students, those excellent students, and not only excellent academically, but those students that are really engaged with their community, and ready to, with passion and determination to make a difference, So the scholarships will go to students like that here at AUCA. And depending upon how much money we can raise, we have been very generously, every dollar we raise up to $100,000 is going to be matched by the Open Society Foundation. George Soros himself spoke warmly and passionately about her after she died. It's the obvious thing to do. And the idea for the video, that is, it's definitely to support the fundraising campaign for the scholarships, but it's also a lot about, look, this life should not be forgotten. We can't let it be forgotten. For her family, for her friends, for Afghanistan.
The Fatima Khalil Scholarship will be a best way to serve her dreams. Many young Afghan women will be able to live their dreams of getting education and living a life as a more equal human beings within Afghanistan and outside Afghanistan. So my family and I are grateful for this opportunity.
Well, I think this establishment of the scholarship in remembrance of Fatima is the great initiative, and it would be a great encouragement and opportunity for most young Afghan women or overall students who wants to study human rights, who wants to continue and pursue what Fatima has started doing. It's a great opportunity, and I'm really thankful for whoever have initiated this scholarship opportunity.
Make it easy. But why? One, we're talking about the future of Afghanistan. And her killing represents all of the dangers and risks involved right now. This is a watershed moment right now with this agreement in the kind of hanging out there. We're not exactly clear what the Biden administration's policy is going to be about Afghanistan. I guess I'm not entirely surprised by the decision of the Biden administration on April 15th to withdraw all U.S. military forces. But even though when you kind of expect something to happen and it's really a matter of great significance on a matter that you're close to, it's kind of shocking. And I think to try to alleviate some of the concerns of the Afghan government and Afghan people about this decision and the likely repercussions it would have on the security situation in Afghanistan especially. So the important thing, when you try to look at a silver lining in a dark cloud, for me it is that the United States and the Secretary announced that the United States will be increasing the level of economic assistance to Afghanistan. And that's very important for our cause, our program, support higher education of Afghan students in Afghanistan, outside of Afghanistan. This is the future of the country. So that's very important. Natasha and people like her and you and our graduates, they are people and they represent the people that are going to make the difference for a future Afghanistan. We don't want to go back to what was, before 9/11 in the late 1990s and what was happening in Afghanistan. So that is what it means.
Don't give up, don't be sad. The life goes on, and you should remember that your main goal, your main responsibility is to be happy and to live a good life.
Keep up the fight. forwards. Keep up the fight. Life is long, there are ups and downs, but there will be moments of opportunity when you and your colleagues will be able to make a big difference in your country. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but there will be times when you can. I'm sure of that. Like there were moments with the collapse of the Soviet Union that nobody predicted. Some of these moments are not necessarily predictable, but they're there. And then you have to have the cadres, the people that are trained and who have the passion and the drive to make the difference.
I guess Afghanistan they har de memory it's better like I should die in this heaven.
Bugde idare parachute mur.
This heaven, I guess it's much better.
Nati! Bye bye Nati! Phone was het Natasha, voor iPhone X. Woo!